You know, I'm a Gen Xer. Millennials kind of get labeled entitled.
Yeah.
But what I'm coming to find as a fellow human being on the planet with everyone else is I think they're more self-aware. That's not an excuse to let them get out of some of their attitudes towards things, I'll be honest. But I just wonder, is that where some of that comes from? And again, I don't want to get too far on this, but
Oh,
or
sure.
am I off the mark?
No, that's a good observation. The entitlement factor is interesting that they label us millennials as entitled when it's really just our American society that changed in the 80s and 90s.
Very true.
Once we had drive-throughs, personal credit cards, instant access to things, that changed our mindsets. You know, back in the good old days, I've heard that people had to save up for things. Is that true?
Yeah.
Gen Xer?
Yeah. I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I remember.
So
Layaway was a thing when I was, you know.
Exactly. So, you know, back in the day, you had to save up to earn something. You had to squirrel away your money until you had enough. And if you think about it, our entire society since the 90s, we flipped that on its back, and now we buy what we want because of credit cards and the access to that, and then we pay it off later. So we might lose sleep later when the bill comes in, but we're already enjoying that new car or those new boots or whatever it was that you had to save up for in the past. So I really challenge the idea that the millennials are the entitled generation when I think what managers were so frustrated by is they came into the work world with these high expectations because we got everything we wanted as kids. That's when Christmas exploded, birthday parties exploded, you know, in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Themed birthday parties.
Yeah.
7 different options of where to take it.
Right. So I think that's more of a societal thing, but I hear what you're saying about the millennials being more self-aware. I tend to use the word mindful.
Okay, I like that.
That we're a little bit more, some are not, don't get me wrong.
Any generation.
But I think today you're seeing the younger workers and just younger people in general more mindful of the space we're taking up in the world. And are we making a difference? Are we not? Are we part of the problem or are we part of the solution? You know, that type of thing that we're really questioning. Do I want to just pay my dues and climb the ladder like everybody else? Or can I contribute more value in a different way or faster or not take a traditional route? You know?
Exactly.
Can I do that in a different way? I think we are much more confident, especially the women. I'll tell you, especially the women, because as I mentioned earlier, my mom was raised without much confidence in herself because it was more of a traditional, very strict household. You know, you don't have an opinion unless I give it to you, young lady, kind of thing. And so she kept her mouth shut and respected her father and had a great childhood, but it was very different than my generation. We were raised to question authority and, you know, speak up. If you see something, say something, that kind of stuff. I mean, that messes with your head, right? And really creates a whole different generation, truly, of people. So I think we have a lot more confidence in the younger generation, which might make us seem more deserving of things, that I can get there faster and whatnot. But I do think we are, in general, more self-aware and certainly more mindful.
And just to educate the audience, there's a lot more of you than most generations. I believe it's the largest generation in American history. Am I right on that?
We're, depending on what researcher you look at, because they all argue about it, the boomers and the millennials are about the same size, give or take, but we have taken over the workforce. So millennials are larger than boomers and Xers combined. We are more than half of the workforce and growing pretty quickly. So,
wow, it's amazing.
Major force to be reckoned with.
Yes, God help us. No, but anyway.
Right?